Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's a CHGO Cubs podcast. Spring training coverage presented by Blue Moon Made Brighter. Get Blue Moon delivered and see delivery options by visiting bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Luke Stuckmeyer and WGN's Kevin Wells with you today. Hopefully Cody Delmendo and Ryan Herrera will be joining us from Arizona in a little bit. Cubs currently playing the Reds out there. Cody's got to get to the airport. We got a lot going on. We got a lot of moving parts, so hopefully everything works well here tonight. Want to give a big shout out to all the diehards that have signed up in the last 24 hours. Phil, Zach, Robert, Kyle, Aaron, and David. Well over 100 just in the month of February. Great time to sign up to be a diehard. You don't miss out on any of Ryan's articles. Just a few of them go behind the paywall. Don't have to worry about it when you're a diehard. You get access to the Discord. You get 20% off all the merch. You get 20% off all the takeovers. We'll talk about both of those two things coming up later in the show as well. Some exciting news about both of those. And we are, Kevin, 1,100 away on YouTube, our YouTube channel for CHGO Sports, from 50K. So we'd like to get there by maybe Monday. That'd be kind of a nice mark. If we could get there by the end of the month, the start of March, that would be kind of cool to get there. It'd be our 2-year anniversary. I don't hear Kevin. Anyways, want to let you know that the Cubs and Reds are going at it right now. We have Kyle Hendricks making his debut this season. The chat is there. Barb says, hope Stucky is feeling better. I said a prayer for him. Thank you, Barb. I appreciate that. Yeah. No, it's just been a miserable cold. People told me when my son went to daycare that I would never feel healthy again. And since about October, they're right. They're right so far. Make sure you smash that like button. Barb's there. Niren is there. We got the trade to talk about coming up in a little bit. Let's see if Kevin's mic is working now.
Yeah, I should be good to go. Sorry,
he's there. All right. I was saying it'd be nice to get to 1,100 followers by our 2-year anniversary, huh?
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. 1,100 in a couple of days.
1,100, get to 50K.
It's definitely possible. I mean, now that's for the CHGO page in general or the Cubs
page? The CHGO Sports YouTube page, yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. Let's do it. A lot of Bears coverage this week down in Indy. We got guys down there.
Oh, yeah. I heard they have the number 1 pick. Is that right? The Bears have the number 1 pick, and they might trade Fields. That seems like
that's news to me. I haven't heard that.
That covers the last 6 months. All right, so the Cubs still have not officially announced the Cody Bellinger signing, right? We're waiting for that press conference. We haven't seen Bellinger playing a game yet. He's not at workouts. He's been cited at Sloan Park, but he has not spoken yet. Took his physical. Seems like they were waiting to create some space on the 40-man roster for him. And they take a step in that direction today, trading Bailey Horn, 26-year-old left-handed reliever, back to the White Sox. He came to the Cubs in that Ryan Tepera trade a couple of years ago. And they get back a 23-year-old right-hander. They're kind of similar pitchers. The difference is that Matthew Thompson doesn't have to go on the 40-man roster.
Yeah, he's been in the minors.
Really a space there.
Yeah, he's gonna stick in the minor leagues for a while. I think he played most of his games in AA last year, and he's got an interesting profile. Looking at some of his highlights and on his MILB page, it's kind of interesting to see his pitch repertoire and what he's going to be. But this is just a pure scouting move from the Cubs. Hey, we need to make a move. We're up against the wall. Let's see whoever we can get. We gotta. We have an embarrassment of riches in pitching. We got to get rid of one of these guys, Bailey Horn. We took a shot on him earlier. Let's see what we can get in a guy who might be a starter down the line, but certainly not this year, probably not next year either. You're right. Gary says it perfect. This is a trade like, hey, we don't have to get rid of somebody for nothing. Let's add to the future of what we have and a guy who is going to be in the minors the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, a Met trade in that it's not superstar players going back. I liked what I saw out of Bailey Horn early in spring so far. He's a guy who had really increased his strikeouts last season, but his command and control suffered because of that. And
Mhm.
sounds like the story is almost identical for Matthew Thompson. Last year, as Kevin mentioned, 136 strikeouts, 85 walks.
Yeah.
85 walks. So that's way too many. So his strikeouts went way up. He can hit 97, 98, but his command, he's apparently got a good curveball or a sweeper that goes with the fastball, but he's had trouble with the command too. Now, he was a second round pick. They overpaid the slot, the White Sox, when they took him out of high school. So he's only 23. There's a chance for the Cubs to get him in the system, get him in the pitch lab, and see if they can figure out that command stuff because the talent's there. But really, this is about finding a guy of similar talent or close that you don't have to put on the 40-man right now. I think Bailey Horn had a chance of making the roster based on the fact that he's left-handed, and he looked pretty good in the first couple games of spring. But clearly the Sox wanted him back, and this was a move to make. It's not earth-shattering either way.
No, this is a trade where they're lucky to get something, and I think a lot of people are excited that, the mayor didn't get traded because he was mentioned in a lot of those, potential moves in which they would have had to make in order to get Bellinger on the roster. I think also just kind of looking at the Cubs roster right now and looking at their bullpen pieces, you have Luke Little, you have Daniel Palencia, you have Drew Smiley, lefties that are likely going to come out of the bullpen. So I think that maybe speaks to what Counsell was thinking when he saw those guys, or not Palencia, excuse me, but Luke Little and a couple other lefties that are there. So I think that could speak to them. But yeah, it does seem like they might be a little short in the left-handed reliever faction right now. But I saw this move as the 2-strike final out of the 9th inning. Jed used that. He used that ism early on in the year. We're in the 7th inning or we're in the 8th inning of the offseason. Yeah. I think the offseason's done now. I think this is the roster. I think this is the team up until the trade deadline when they're likely going to be in a position to add.
Well, I was wondering if they still might make another move. I don't know that Keegan is still safe. I still think there's guys that they might, at the end of camp, either DFA or trade or move on just to kind of create that flexibility if they want. I wonder if Keegan is still on that list. I think it was Gary was saying that he thought basically 2 spaces still had to be created for Keegan or for Bellinger because of the way the roster is. I don't know where that stands. Keegan's an interesting guy. Like, again, if I had to see Keegan Thompson go or Bailey Horn, well, I'm on the side of, Bailey Horn was the right guy. Now, maybe the White Sox wanted him more anyway. But for me, Keegan Thompson has shown some really, I know the numbers may skew it. People say, well, the stuff wasn't as good as the results were, and maybe it was a little lucky, yada, yada, yada. Keegan Thompson was really good for like 3/4 of a season. There was a time where we were talking about Keegan Thompson potentially being an all-star. And it wasn't just like joking material. He was that dominant as a pitcher for a while. And heck, there was a time when we were putting Keegan Thompson and Justin Steele in the same bag.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show how hard it is to be a starting pitcher in this league, right? It just goes to show that these hitters have everything available to them now, and being a young pitcher in the league, they're going to figure you out right away. And I express a little bit of hesitancy with, even as good as Justin Steele was last year, and I expect him to be good again this year. I wonder if they didn't do enough to address the rotation this year, and they're putting a lot on the back of Justin Steele again for the similar reasons,
Yeah.
Keegan Thompson, I think, still has a pretty decent upside. I think, yeah, he's still one of the lower guys towards the chopping block. Like, he's not a guaranteed roster spot, but giving up on him would be like giving up on Caleb Killian. I'm not there yet with either one of those guys.
Niren says Keegan seems like a tweener, can't pitch 3 to 4 times a week. I mean, we'll just see. I saw the rumor, and I have no idea how credible the Twitter account is. But they were talking about, could be in talks with the Rays for Keegan Thompson. And I listen, if Keegan Thompson at some point gets traded to the Rays, it almost guarantees that the guy will be shoving You know,
Yeah, we'll figure him
it
out.
almost guarantees that he will turn around and you'll be like, wow, how did we let Keegan Thompson get away after that? Because
It does
that's
seem
who the Rays find.
and it does seem like they have a lot of. I see a lot of the people in the chat saying, "Oh, Thompson and Wisniewski need to pitch better," and kind of putting them in the same group in the same category. And I kind of agree they are of similar nature with their pitch types and their velocities and their struggles with command at times. So right, maybe the Cubs choose between the two. Maybe there's other parts of the roster they still camp or something like that. I don't know. I saw this move today as all right. Bellinger's going to be on the 40 man here whenever that trade becomes official in the next couple of days, whether that's today, tomorrow, whenever. I think this is the team that they want. Maybe there's a couple other moves in there, like you said, a couple other ups and downs with minor leaguers or shifting guys around if they think they have too much pitching, they want to go get another. But they seem to be confident in their 1 through 9 at the moment. So I don't see another big move, really any move coming. I think this is the team up until the trade deadline.
Yeah, I think the fans that are still waiting for Chapman to happen at third base probably most likely will keep waiting for that. I think the only way that would happen is if Christopher Morel just starts booting ball after ball after ball at third base. I think they're going to give him, and we'll talk more about him. We're going to hear from Craig Counsell about Morel's progress in the first couple of weeks here a little bit later in the podcast. But I think unless he was just booting the ball all over the place in the first week of Cactus League, that ship has sailed with Bellinger. I know people say, well, you're reaching that the tax level, you might as well just blast through it now and go ahead and do it. Listen, I feel like even if you added Chapman, I don't believe that this team is. It's hard to say you don't believe it has World Series aspirations because you watch what the Diamondbacks did last year, but I think that's the exception to the rule. I think that's way more unlikely than it is likely to happen again, that a team gets hot like that and goes from 84 wins all the way to the World Series. You know, it doesn't happen as often as you think it does.
You gotta have the horses in the starting rotation to get you to that point. And I think the Cubs are still probably one, maybe two guys short in that rotation. Justin Seal was phenomenal last year, and I expect him to be really good this year. But this is only going to be his second, hopefully full season as a starting pitcher in baseball. So you want to take that with a grain of salt and see where he can go, and hopefully he doesn't regress back to the mean. But that's something that has to be in the back of everybody's minds. And Imanaga, I don't think they have the starting pitching just yet to get there. Cade Horton is the guy that they believe will be the number one in that rotation. Maybe next year or the year after that. I think he's kind of their X factor to get them to that next level. Once he pans out, if he pans out, which I think everybody does, I think that's when you start to see okay, now we'll go over the luxury tax. Now we'll spend on some big hitters. But to be honest, I like their offense, man. They had a good offense last year, and I think this offense is going to be better because Cody Bellinger is going to be batting second in the lineup with Craig Counsell. Your best hitter bats second with managers that follow analytics a lot more than David Ross did. And I think Christopher Morel getting more at bats and he's only going to get better this year, and he's only going to hit more home runs. So I like this offense as is. I think the offense is good. I'm a little worried about starting pitching if I'm being honest. That's my main concern.
In that regards, you talk about Mike Taylor says Ben Brown could also get some starts this year. And Jake Hazen says, yes, Horton is the red rifle. I mean, those are the two young guys, the two names you keep hearing. Killian had a pretty good start to the spring here, and I don't want to totally forget a guy just because he's had a rough couple of attempts at the major leagues. But those are two of the big names. I saw that Cody met Ben Brown on the field, and I was looking at the picture, and I was like, Ben Brown still looks like a kid. He the guy's going to be a major league pitcher pretty soon, but he still looks pretty young, doesn't he?
Maybe he'll soon to be friend of the show, Ben Brown. Yeah,
that's right.
Cool. He's watching you guys, and he does. He looks young, but man, he's looked pretty awesome in some of the highlights that we've seen. Yeah, I would love to get a look at him in the big leagues this year. And again, the Cubs have built this in a way where if they do have an injury, which is going to happen, you're going to have starting pitchers go on the injured list this year. Hopefully it's nothing major, obviously, but you're going to have an injury. And that's when you're going to see the Ben Browns and the Cade Hortons come up and get spot starts, which will be exciting. But hopefully that's at a time where they're going to be big starts. They're going to be, okay, we're a couple games over 500 here, and we're not just playing for nothing. Come up and do whatever you want. We want you guys to come up, feel the pressure, pitch well in the moment in front of a packed crowd in a divisional race. I hope that that's their entrance to big league ball, truly.
Yeah, and back to the trade, which is where we started the podcast. Thompson spent most of his time at Double-A last year. I think it's Baseball America has him ranked as the 30th prospect in the White Sox system. Okay, so let's not get too excited. We know that the White Sox system is depleted. That's part of the problem they're having is like their farm system is now depleted, and this is a player who was 30th. Now he's only 23 years old, so there's obviously still some upside there, but somebody was asking, did they get a guy that's good? Listen, it's not like they got a top 100 prospect, but they also didn't trade a top 100 prospect. Bailey Horn wasn't considered like a top 10 prospect in the Cubs organization either. And as for Thompson, the player they're getting back, he was a player who was Rule 5 eligible for the White Sox, but was not picked up by anybody, was not taken in that Rule 5 draft. So now you have plenty of options that you can use for him, and you can storm down there. He doesn't have to be on the 40-man roster. So it's about creating space. I am curious what you thought of our friend of the show, Alex Cohen, calling the game today. I don't know how much of you caught of it, but he's on Marquee, and it sounds like he's going to be doing the next couple games for Marquee. Obviously, the voice of the Iowa Cubs. Mm-hmm. Listen, the Cubs have great young talent in the farm system. We know. We've heard top 5 farm systems in all of baseball. I'll argue that they've got some pretty good young talent down in the farm system for broadcasters too. I think Alex Cohen could be a great if Boog decides to move on at some point. I think I would just go down to the farm system and grab the guy. I mean, obviously the Cubs are big enough that they could grab anyone they want, but I think Alex has a bright future as a play-by-play guy in the major leagues, whether it's with the Cubs or somebody else. And Mitch Gillespie too. Mick Gillespie too. That Tennessee is very good as well.
Yeah, I did not watch much of the game today. I was coming home, and then I had to take care of some other stuff for work. So, hand up, I didn't watch him on Marquee, but I did hear him on 670 The Score last Friday for the opener. Mm-hmm. And he popped in our studio here like he was with Ryan on the Zoom. And I
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Before then, and I said, dude, like, you sounded fantastic. And I will be honest, it is to be able to do television and to be able to do radio and be able to, it's 2 separate jobs for people tuning in. Just coming from, you come from a TV background. I come from a radio background, and a really confident play-by-play guy who knows the game when you hear it. And the chemistry, and I'm assuming Coombe just makes it really easy on guys because Ron Coomer is just a natural at this. Right. But Alex, when he was calling the game, it was smooth. It was a guy who I've been here before. I know this team. I know the minor league system. I know these guys because I've called hundreds of their games in AAA. He sounded great, and I think that should that opportunity ever come up, I think he's a guy that would get consideration for sure. We heard the rumors that, Zach Zaidman was maybe mentioned for the White Sox gig. So, Zach Zaidman's a phenomenal play-by-play guy. He could end up getting a play-by-play gig with another job, and then someone's going to have to come up and fill that role. So there's a lot of moving parts there, but I certainly think Alex Cohen has done an awesome job. I haven't heard him as much on TV. Who is he? Who was his color guy today?
Ryan Sweeney was the color commentator today. I just think, I don't know if people realize, like you were saying, the difference between calling play-by-play for the radio and television. It's an adjustment, realizing that your fans and they now see the game that you're seeing. You don't have to describe every detail like you do in a radio broadcast where you're creating that picture for the viewers. The viewers see the picture. They just need something added to it along, and it's about playing with that analyst. And you mentioned, listen, you're a radio background. I'm a TV background. I don't know if people realize, but play-by-play is its own animal too. If I had to say, people ask me all the time, would you want to do like play-by-play for this? And it's such a different job. It's like comparing a doctor to a dentist. You both have medical degrees, but they're totally different jobs. That doesn't mean somebody can't, and this is happening so much more, people can't dabble in both. You can't have, but you'll notice that the people, when they go to the other medium, generally they have way less responsibility on those. There's people taking care of the detailed stuff that someone who comes up in that medium is way more likely to know stuff about. So it's not that you can't do radio and television. You can. That's what makes it so difficult to do both. But I think play-by-play is a totally different animal, and to see him bounce between the two was really impressive.
Well, look at it this way. Look at the paychecks that you get for being a play-by-play guy. It shows how much more difficult it is, just because there's so few people that can do it and do it on a good level. Joe Buck's making $1 million a game. When they ask him, "Hey, are you still going to do baseball?" He goes, "I love baseball, but nope, I'm making enough money doing one game a week, Monday Night Football." Or Adam Amin, who can call all these games and is pumped up in the Fox. There's so few guys who are on that level. And just getting back for the Cubs angle, I just appreciate a guy like Alex Cohen who can call a game on both mediums and is willing to work in the minor leagues and grind away and just hone in on the craft, because it's like you said, the radio aspect of it and the play-by is its own animal. It is so difficult to let a game breathe, no one to speak, no one to interact, no one to describe a play, no one to be real, no one to let your personality shine. It's such a intricate thing, and it's really hard to do. So hats off to him, man. I'm rooting for his success, and I've really enjoyed listening to him on the radio. I'll have to listen to more TV. I didn't get to hear it today, but I'm sure he's doing a great job.
I think he tweeted out he's going to be doing the next couple. It's like you said, when he gets there and he will get his opportunity, he will have earned it. He will have paid his dues. He's in Iowa, cranking out games. He's riding the bus with the team. He's doing media stuff. I remember Brian Anderson, who does TBS and the Brewers games and is NCAA tournament. Yeah. BA was, San Antonio Missions. When I was in San Antonio, he was doing the Missions play-by-play, just like Alex Cohen is doing for Iowa. And he was also the guy, when being a local sports guy in San Antonio, that I would call up and say, "Can you get me a player to do my live shot for the 6 o'clock news?" And BA would bring that player down. So, I mean, when you see young play-by-play guys get to the top, very rarely is it someone who was handed the job because of their name, okay, or a family name. That happens very, very rarely. And when it does, Joe Buck, like for instance, very talented. We saw Chip Carey's kids are doing it and getting a chance now. I see Mr. Delmendo has joined the chat.
Cody,
what up, guys?
Live from the car. How was all right, so you want to summarize your 5-day super experience at Sloan Park? What did it live up to your expectations? First ever trip there?
I think it went over my expectations. I didn't have high expectations, to be honest with you. It's definitely something that I definitely want to come back and do again. If CHGO wants to send me every year for the rest of time, sure, I'm down. Jake, if you're listening, I'm down. Yeah, it was just really cool to meet a lot of Cubs fans from Arizona, ones who came out from Chicago like me and Ryan did. Familiar faces. I saw Danny Rocket the last 2 days out here, made the trip all the way out here. The Club 400 people. Yeah, I mean, the when you can get out of Chicago whenever, I know it's nice there today, but normally 71. In February. Yeah, normally in February, it's cold there. It's been consistently beautiful here in Arizona since I got out here. Can't complain at all. A little dreary yesterday, but sun back out today. Was not good for my sunburn, but, whatever. It was my overall experience was great. Exceeded my expectations. Definitely recommend for anyone who's never done it before. Just do it one time. it's kind of like what I tell people about Cubs convention. Go one time, take your kid or go yourself, whatever. Yeah. Today I've been doing a lot of man on the street stuff. Today I walked around the park with the mini mic and asked the most important question going around in Chicago right now.
Fields
and that is, Fields or Caleb Williams. Yeah, I walked around a Cubs game and asked football questions. So, that's where we're at in spring training at this point. But got a lot of interesting answers. It's pretty funny, in my opinion, to be able to walk around and do that. The day before or 2 days ago, I asked people about Bellinger. And then the day before that, I already put this video out, but just kind of gave a tour of Sloan Park and stuff like that. And I tried a bunch of food at the Scottsdale Stadium where the Giants play when the Cubs were there on Saturday. That was another thing too, is like a lot of the parks around here are nice. So just even if you want to come watch the Cubs, like they don't play here back-to-back days normally, it feels like. So you get to tour around the entire area and see all the other parks and stuff too. So I just think it's a really cool experience to do at least one time in your life.
Yeah, I think Cody, you hit it. There's a little Cubs convention to it. It's Cubs convention mixed with spring break, mixed with Del Boca Vista. Like you take all three. You take the old people, the sunshine, and kids on spring break, and then you put a baseball game out there and let people get closer to the major league players than you are able to get to them during the regular season. By the way, you had great accommodations too. CHGO spring training hotel accommodations provided by our friends at the Gila River Resort and Casino Vicuiva, the place for Chicago baseball fans to stay while visiting the Phoenix area. If you're planning to head out west to catch some of these Cactus League games, or if you're traveling to the desert throughout the year, call 1-800-946-4452 or visit playhila.com. That's GILA.com. All right, we're going to talk more with Cody here. Go ahead. Yeah.
Speaking of that, me and Ryan lost $260 combined last night at the casino. So,
ouch.
Still, we had the most fun you could while losing all that money. But
there you go.
You could have better luck than me and Ryan. That's for damn sure. The blackjack table was not nice to us.
It's a tax write-off. You'll be all right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right. Barb thinks you may have fallen asleep on the grass and gotten a bad sunburn. Your nose does look potentially a little redder than my pink eye.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's just
that's what I thought. Cody, you're getting home just in time. Yeah. Baseball-sized hail this afternoon, possible tornadoes, and then snow tomorrow. So welcome home. The most unexpected, unscripted, and unforgettable motorsports experience for families and fans in the world today returns to Chicagoland for an adrenaline-filled, charged weekend at Allstate Arena from March 1st to the 3rd. This weekend, the world's best drivers show off crazy skills and all-out racing and fierce head-to-head battles for the event championship. Engineered to perfection, these 12,000-pound Monster Jam trucks push all the limits in freestyle, skills, donuts, and racing competitions. The Arena Series West champion will receive the highly coveted automatic bid for the prestigious Monster Jam World Finals to compete for the title of World Champion. See these world-class athletes in action performing the craziest stunts in motorsports. Experience big-time family fun at Monster Jam. Unexpected, unscripted, unforgettable. This is Monster Jam. See it live at Allstate Arena, March 1st through 3rd. This weekend, link for tickets in the description. Who's in?
Let's go. I went to Monster Jam when I was in college in Milwaukee. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. It is a good show. The flips and stuff that they do in that really confined arena space in the dirt, it's impressive. They're good drivers, man. It's a cool show. I recommend it. Just bring your earplugs. Gets pretty loud in there.
Let's see if Kevin can come up with the trivia question I gave the other guys yesterday. How heavy do you think each tire is on a Monster Jam truck?
1,200
The trucks
pounds?
weigh 12,000 pounds.
Yeah, I'd say 1,200 a wheel.
No, 645, but that's still a lot of weight. Each wheel, 645 pounds. You're not flipping those in your workouts. Even at Midtown Athletic, nobody's got a 645-pound tire, I don't think. By the way, Cody's been out there in Arizona since Thursday. Is that right?
Yeah, flew in
last Thursday. We lost count, but at one time the ticker was like 6 or 7 in the first couple days. Blue Moon, made brighter. Get Blue Moon delivered to you, and delivery options by visiting bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. How about it? How you did your first beer bat with Blue Moon in it, right?
Absolutely.
And how many Blue Moons would you say you sipped responsibly while you were in Arizona?
Responsibly, probably a nice 12-pack.
Yeah.
Combined, you know what I mean?
And then you have 8 more cases sitting in your fridge when you get home?
Yes.
Have you heard that, Kevin? Blue Moon dropped off a bunch. They dropped off a bunch of Blue Moon for us to try out. It's the new partnership. They're sponsoring our spring training. And Cody, who many times comes on a scooter to work, found the skill somehow to get 8 cases of Blue Moon back to his house. Complimentary, calling them.
How'd I
Cody,
get
you gotta
them
have
there?
from your house, man.
Get a car.
Okay, I've said this on the show. It's the winter. I drove them home, Luke. I didn't scooter them home.
Still, but 8. That's like surprised your car didn't bottom out.
Yeah. No, listen. They brought him to the office. They said here, and I said okay.
Wow. Lucky you.
Wow, yeah.
Fan favorite.
A lot.
Let's get 8 pieces of Blue Moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
For you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Barb does point out that Cody can bench press over 200 pounds.
Yeah, I wish.
So, not that
Don't
hard.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Barb. There you go. Also, Barb, did you see Jose Quas struck out 2 guys today? I know you were probably really upset about it. Boom, roasted. All right.
Anybody else think the Reds could be a problem this year? I would say, I do too. And I know we had those predictions. Was it Pacoda had the Cardinals in first place? I've changed it with Bellinger and the way I've seen things look. Now they may need to make additions throughout the season. I still think the Cubs going into the season would be my favorite to win the division this year. But I would have the Reds second. I would not have the Cardinals listed as second, despite the fact that they have Arenado and Goldschmidt.
I think, I haven't watched a lot of today's game, but
Frankie Montas looked all right.
When they ran their starting lineup out there to play defense, I was just looking at the guys that they have. They have a ton of young dudes, man. Like, if it's their time to win, it's going to be sometime in the next 3-4 years, because they're not going to pay any of these dudes. So the big question with them is will L.A. De La Cruz get back to how he was when he first came up, right? I personally think he's a superstar in the making, so he scares me. Matt McClain, great. Friedel, he was a pest last year. I think Benson can hit tanks.
He's a monster.
They have the offense is there, in my opinion. They have a ton of young talent, right? And I know it's just a lot of them were rookies last year, so how will they respond in year 2? Who knows? I think the big question for them is pitching. And Montes looked okay today, fine. I think it's all about Lodolo and Hunter Green for me. And then, what else Ashcraft looked, he had some moments last year for them too. They have a decent squad. I would put them up there with the Cubs as the 2 favorites in my opinion. I think the Cubs have the best pitching in the division at this point, with Corbin Burns going to the Orioles. At least the most consistent. I think you can rely on the Cubs pitching more than any other pitching in this division, in my opinion. Because even with Freddie Peralta with the Brewers, as good as he is, he's also a little injury prone. And Sonny Gray, he's 34, man. I don't know. He was great last year, though, right? I can't take anything away from him. But after that, for the Cardinals, I don't know. And with Milwaukee, sure, they're really good at developing pitching. So they'll probably have some dudes that blow my mind this year. Maybe that guy that they got from Baltimore, does something for them this year. Who knows? I just think the Cubs have a little bit more proven and consistent pitching in the rotation and depth wise. And I think that could be the reason they won the division this year. But yeah, the Reds, though, their offense is just as lethal as the Cardinals, in my opinion. But the big question for them, to me, is pitching. So we'll see how it plays out. And, the only thing that puts the Cardinals ahead of them for me is just the fact that they have more experience, with Arenado, Goldschmidt, Jordan Walker's going into year 2, Mason Wynn, Tommy Edman, Brendan Donovan. They have guys that have proven it for multiple years. I just don't know about the pitching, man. And they have to throw to Wilson Contreras. So good luck, brother.
It's
Cubs making a rally here, by the way.
It's so close. If I'm answering your original question, I think the Reds are a problem this year. Yeah, I don't think they're not a team where you're going to sleepwalk through a 3-game series and win 2 out of 3 with ease. Mm-hmm. I think it's a competitive game, but the Cubs roster 1 through 26 is still much better than the Reds roster. I will say that. I'm pretty confident in saying that. If you go 1 through 9 and you look at each guy, defensively, the Cubs are the best team in the division. Starting pitching wise, I still think the Cubs have the slight edge. Hunter Green people forget how good he is just because he's been banged up and things like that, but he's the clear ace of that staff. Darren Ashcraft had a decent year. Frankie Montas. The Reds they're not gonna go easy this year. They have young guys. They're hungry. But I will say, Jeimer Candelario was their biggest free agent pickup this year, and he's going to play majority first base. And he's about as average as it gets in terms of offensive output. So and maybe that's not what they needed him there for. Maybe they wanted him to be more defensive minded, but even that's not that high end of an upgrade. So I'm struggling to find where they stick out above the Cardinals. The Cardinals are still number 2 for me, just for where that offense is going to be. If Arenado's healthy, he's still a top 10 hitter in baseball. Goldschmidt's going to give you 25 to 30 home runs. Jordan Walker's going to give you 25 to 30 home runs. It's the pitching staff that's the difference between those two teams, because I think St. Louis's pitching staff is terrible. I think the upgrades they made there, I don't think Lance Lynn is any good. I think Sonny Gray is good, but everybody else in that rotation has the ability to go 2-3 innings and get beat every night. They don't have a bona fide ace or second starter for that matter. I'm not a fan of the way they rebuilt that rotation. When they said they were going to rebuild it, I thought they were going to go out and get a guy like Dylan Cease, a guy like Corbin Burns. Same with Cincinnati, who said that they were interested in maybe getting a guy like Lucas Giolito, and they didn't do that. So to me, it's the Cubs division to lose after the Bellinger signing, but it's not going to be a runaway. The Cardinals and Reds are going to be right there. The Brewers have a pretty good offense, but trading Corbin Burns waved the white flag for them, and I think we'll see them kind of sell off at the trade deadline. So that's the reason I wouldn't put them in that echelon right now.
Well, the Reds and Cubs are both teams that are counting on some of their young players to take that next step. One of those players for the Cubs, obviously, is Christopher Morel. We've seen unbelievable power. He had a great kind of breakout season last year. Now we're trying to get him at third base. Sarah, if you're back running the 1s and 2s at the office, I believe we have a clip that Ryan got from Craig Counsell giving us kind of an update on how things are going for Morel, not necessarily just in the Cactus League games, which we can see with our own eyes, but the work he's putting in the morning over at Sloan Park. So this is Craig Counsell talking about Morel's progress the first couple of weeks here over at third base.
The one thing I would say with Christopher is we're just looking for him to be a good baseball player here. I think, and that means just picking up grounders and throwing them to first. As simple as that's I don't want to that's what being an infielder is about. The thing that I like so far is just the consistency of what we've been able to provide him. The early returns, it's 4 ground balls. I hate to do anything, make any comments on that, but it's just we're getting consistency. So we're, from my perspective, we're 2 weeks into a very consistent work pattern for him, and that's a good thing. And so we just kind of stack some good days on each other and keep doing that, and then let him frankly, make mistakes and try to learn from those mistakes. You want balls hit to them, you want tough plays, you want mistakes, so we can move forward from those. Those are often the best learning points.
Couple things from that. I have a question, but first I want to say I like the way he talks about prospects or young players. Like, I like the way that he was just talking about developing, if you will, Christopher Morel defensively. I don't think we've ever really heard that. It's kind of been like, yeah, we're going to let him play some at third. He's doing a little work. This is a thought out plan. He's saying specifically, I'm looking for consistency this week. Then we're going to do this. And he realizes that developing Christopher Morel and getting him to develop into a major league defensive third baseman is something that can be really beneficial for his team. And I can't say that it didn't happen under David Ross. I just like the way that Counsell verbalizes what the plan is for Christopher Morel. And it seems like it's a very well thought out plan for the way they're going to develop him. And frankly, it's the biggest key to this team getting back to being a championship level team is developing the young players. And we haven't seen them kind of skyrocket through. I hope Counsell is a piece of getting that farm system and the younger players in the organization to develop quickly and effectively into major league players. I like what I hear from him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when we watched from afar what Counsell did in Milwaukee, and we'd always sit here and ask ourselves, like, how is he doing this? Like, It had to do with a lot of this. And I know, like, some fans want to look at this negatively, like, oh, he's going to bring out the value and out of every single player, good or bad, no matter whatever they are. But the thing is, when it comes to Christopher Morel, like, this guy could be the difference between, winning 80 and 80 or 85 games this year. You know what I mean? Like he went through stretches offensively last year where he looked really bad, but he also had a lot of really good stretches too. So you feel like the offense, there's still more there, but the big thing is just the defense now, right? And now they have a good, you have a good month and a half if you go back to first day of spring training when he arrived, whatever, to evaluate him playing third base. And listen, I'm sure they're evaluating more than just what he's doing in game. Like he's taking ground balls every day, I'm sure, and doing all the stuff behind the scenes the camera's not getting. And I think he's embracing the opportunity. It's on him. Like me and Ryan were talking about it on the drive home the other day. Like, it's on him, as in Morel, to take control of this opportunity and run with it, because it's his position to lose, man. Mm-hmm. It's either him or Nick Madrigal. Okay. Like, I'm just like, whether you want to talk about Matt Chapman as a possibility still via free agency or not, like, me personally, I want the Cubs to feel absolutely confident that Morel could play third base going into opening day. That's what I would like. I would love for them to feel that way. And if they don't, then I do think they might try and get Chapman, But if Morel can slide into at third base and play it like just competently, man, you got your future third baseman right there that has a ceiling offensively that, like, I don't even know if anyone realizes how high it is. Like, this guy, he showed, especially last year after that tough August. I felt like the one positive from September last year was Morel adjusting to how bad adjusting to what the league had adjusted to him, because he was so bad in August, but then a lot better in September. This guy's shown that he is someone who can stay in the majors and be one of your big boppers in the middle of your lineup, dude. The guy hit 26 homers last year and he played less games than the year before. So yeah, they got to figure out the defense with him for sure. But I agree, Luke. Like, I'm happy to hear Craig Counsell just kind of talk about the process with him and everything, because to be honest, and I've said this before, the whole thing with going through with Morel this last year at least, we didn't know who he was going into 2022, but especially this last year where they just basically thought he could play all over the field and not third base.
It should have happened a year ago. It should have happened a year ago.
Yeah, right? And so, like, to see them give him the opportunity now, like I said, like a week and a half ago, I'll believe it when I actually see it on opening day. But I will say, and this is me going back a little bit on what I said, I will say that when he has played, he has been playing third base. So they are really giving him that opportunity to take this position and run with it. So, from what I've seen from the games, like, he's made some nice plays. He made a nice diving play the other day. Like, to this point, I've been impressed for what everyone believes that he is at third base. At least he's kind of surpassed that belief. So again, a lot of spring training games left to go, but to me, he's off to a good start in terms of trying to earn that role. And to me, I'd rather have Morel at third base going into opening day than Matt Chapman. I'd rather them get Montgomery if we're going to choose between the two. But
amen.
I'm also okay with it too, because Chapman's a great defensive player. But the reason if you do get Chapman, it's like, okay, then where are you really going to play Morel? Are you just going to DH him for another season again? It's just, to me, you're walking back on a lot of things that you said if you did that. So that said, maybe if Chapman bounces back offensively, all these things that we can talk about if it actually happens. But I'm just kind of going through all the two scenarios here, right? And I would prefer that they roll with Morel if they really believe that he can play that position. I feel like they should roll with him at Morel because he has so much value at such a young age, a ceiling that's so high in my opinion. And maybe some people are lower on Morel than me, which wouldn't surprise me, but I would love to see him just run with it at this position.
I have another thought too that we'll get to in a second that involves Morel and his development, and there's no guarantee to it, but I think there's a pretty good chance of it. And if you want a full guarantee, then what you're looking for is Empire Today and their low price guarantee. You get to shop at home, convenience, the right product and price for quick experience, the best place to get your new flooring. So that there's copycats out there because of that, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed. Competitors advertise low quality products that don't get carried by Empire. Empire's not going to promise the lowest price because anybody who does that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in yours. They have a virtual floor designer at Empire that allows you to snap a picture and instantly see how those new floors will look in your house. And then they comb through thousands of products each year to find the perfect styles and the best styles for your home. Shopping floors at a big box store, that can be frustrating. You might talk to somebody who was in plumbing yesterday. At Empire Today, all they do is live and breathe flooring, so you can be confident you're getting honest, upfront advice. And they pride themselves as being a convenient shop-at-home service. They service their own warranties. If an issue does arise, just call Empire. They service all their own warranties. You don't have to track down the manufacturer's phone number. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when you use the promo code CHGO. 4 important letters, CHGO. All you have to do is type in that promo code, $350 off. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. And if you're in the market for a new vehicle, well, if you are, we've got some great news for you. Our partner, Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fox Lake, is celebrating the President's Day sale event all month long. You know what that means? You're able to shop presidential savings on their wide selection of inventory for a limited time. Get 20% off MSRP on all remaining new 2023 Jeep Gladiator models with dealer discount. They are number one for new vehicle quality among mid-size trucks, says J.D. Power. That's number one for new vehicle quality among mid-size trucks, according to J.D. Power. And that's not all. You can shop their last call on select Dodge Challenger and Charger models. Dodge is the most powerful muscle car brand, so you don't want to miss out on their last call with over 20 Dodge muscle cars to choose from right now. And at Race CDJR, you're always able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories. Drive home with more money in your pocket thanks to the Ray Price Promise. Don't miss out. Shop great deals all month long. Save big because Ray CDJR makes buying a new vehicle more affordable than ever. And that's not all. Just for listening, you can get a free oil change when you mention CHGO at the service center or mention CHGO when you book online at racecdjr/service. But you got to schedule before Leap Day, February 29th. You're running out of time. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, check out our team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram because they're the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com. Serving the community since 1963. It's a long time, guys. Oh, look at this. Peas in a pod. Herrera's here.
He's finally here.
Sorry, you got a Hawaiian on? I'm trying to tell her. Is that the pin's name?
Yeah, Hawaiian.
Hawaiian, huh? Oh, yeah. Who's driving?
Ryan. I didn't wear my Hawaiian while I was here.
That's brilliant. Very good, Sarah.
Hawaiian Herrera. It should be Hawaiian Ryan. It sounds better.
Ryan, the Hawaiian wearing Herrera.
Hawaiian Ryan is just easy, simple. Rhymes.
Hawaiian Ryan.
Can't beat it.
When are you guys flying out? When are you leaving?
Cody today.
6:40, yeah, something like that.
40. Okay.
Yeah.
Just in time for the baseball size hail, Cody. Just in time.
I hope you make it. I hope maybe you might have another night in Arizona tonight. Tornado watch right now, so we'll see.
It would snow, then be like 70 degrees for multiple days, and then go back to being awful when I come home.
No, it is supposed to be nice again this weekend. Like snow tomorrow, but then like 60, I think, on the weekend.
Man, see, this is why we're built different in the Midwest, man.
Oh, there was Sarah. That was what happened there? Well, what's going on? Sarah saw herself. She jumped off.
She definitely did that on accident.
Sarah running the ones and twos. Also, all of a sudden.
Sorry, guys. I'm doing like 50 things right now, and so I hit the wrong button. And I was like, "Oh crap! Never mind."
Sarah, do you have the clips from Hendricks that Ryan was busy just getting a couple minutes ago?
I do. We are all set. Breaking
Ryan, you want to set up the first one, or do you know what the first one it might be?
Yeah, well, so it's we got to talk to Kyle after his start today, and his first start of spring training, or at least first start of spring training. I know he's done a couple lives before this, but natural progression getting into spring training game, and at least his first part, just talking about what he was trying to do out there, the mentality he's trying to get early on in spring, and just different things that he's been kind of working on to start spring training. Obviously, going into this start, just kind of how he felt about it. I think that's an easy way to sum up what he kind of started out talking about.
Let's hear from the professor.
Still a goal of starters. I mean, it seems almost every year there's fewer and fewer of them going that far.
Yeah, the game's changing for sure, but it's definitely a goal of mine. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just can be so valuable still. Wearing down a bullpen throughout the course of a year, it's tough. You want to be your strongest there at the end of the season, and the more load we can take on as starters, it's always going to pay dividends there at the end of the year for our bullpen.
What's one thing that you've noticed that has been different under Council this spring?
It's just attention to detail, I'd say. Even going through our work here, man, we come out to the field with a purpose. We know exactly what we're going to get better at that day, what we need to work on. There's built-in times through the day, too, where you can focus on something you really want to get better at, just player-wise, pitcher-wise. There's built-in time where you can do specific things for yourself, which is really cool and unique that I haven't seen in spring. But him getting involved in the drills, I mean, it's all these little things that the attention to detail, I would say, is the biggest thing, but he just does it all. He's in the drills, he's on everybody, kind of keeping everybody engaged. It feels game-like, feels competitive. It's just fun and exciting to be out there with him.
Last year, this time, you weren't pitching in live EVs, you weren't pitching in spring games. Just how does it feel to have a normal spring for you after just not knowing kind of what to expect last year?
For sure, yeah, it feels amazing. It feels amazing just to be in my routine, be on my 5-day, get my normal lives in, like I said, and just go have fun. It was just fun to be out there today. That's what I love to do. So yeah, it stunk last year, man. It stinks sitting around. So just want to be one of the guys going out there in my normal routine. So it just feels good to be back at that.
So the professor looks like he's ready to go. I thought he looked really solid in 1, 2, 3 inning. I wouldn't say that the run was necessarily his fault. It was played poorly in the outfield, whatever. He's working on some stuff. Ryan, what's the second set of sound about here?
It's similar stuff. Talking about actually Craig Counsell, and one of the things that was referred to was they were doing, and Cody actually tweeted it from the Cubs account. There was a situational runners on base. What do you do as a pitcher type stuff? And so all the infielders were there, and all the pitchers were out there figuring stuff out. But like Craig Counsell was actually the runner on third base and figuring that out. I think at one point he said, if I score, it's probably not good for the Cubs. That's Craig Counsell's kind of humor. But that's something that he brings to the table as the manager, willing to be in there. That's one of the things that Kyle really talked about as far as just noticing about Craig Counsell as a manager and what he brings to this team during spring training.
All right, Sarah, hit it up for us.
First time you get to see other hitters in the boxes, how good is that for the feedback?
It's just fun again to be out there. Kind of the lives are fun, just pitching again in a game, but it's tough facing your own guys. It's tough to really do what you want to do. So getting back into a real game, facing an opponent, a different team, just good feeling. Good to be back out there. Great to be with Jan. Felt pretty locked in for the most part. A little bit quick on a couple deliveries maybe, but really accomplished everything I was trying to do. Fastball command was really good, and worked on my curveball through some good ones there.
You talked about wanting to kind of like really jump into competition mode so that avoid the slow start. What is that? What's different? What does that look like? Kind
of just mental mindset, preparation, and what I'm taking into the start. I'm working on a couple things, but to be prepared for first game. As before, I'm maybe feeling my way through it. I go in there with a plan of something specific I do want to work on, and I hammer it too much almost, So pick a spot where I want to work on something, but then pick other spots where I'm attacking the hitter, putting together an at-bat and getting a guy out, just getting into that game mode, that game mindset. The earlier I can do that, the better. So that's what I'm trying to do.
What do you think about the division? Now that you kind of have a better idea of what your team looks like, what do you think about it?
Our division's always tough, man, top to bottom. It's good competition. Every team's getting better, I would say. Every team got better this year. So it's always a grind, always a dogfight. But obviously where we are and who we have in this clubhouse, we have total faith in. And that's our first goal for sure, is to win the division and head into October with that. So, but at the end of the day, it's one game at a time. It's going to be a dogfight all the way through 162 for sure.
I think some people look at this team as just bringing back the same group that 183. I assume you guys feel differently.
100%. I think you learn a lot going through a whole season, especially going through it with that group and then having the same group come back. You're able to lean on each other a lot and talk about the lessons you took from last year, what you did learn, what you're going to do different. It's just the camaraderie, I think, and how close we are, and that simple mind, maybe some confidence built in from last year too. But there are a little bit of changes too, which I think are all positive. All the changes we've had, all the new guys, the staff, everything has just been amazing energy. So I think that's just going to bring a whole lot of positive for our group.
Find someone that loves. I love the chat giving us the play-by-play while it's going on.
Yeah. So I realized
Jan Gomes and Kyle. Like Kyle just sounds like a guy who just absolutely loves his catcher. I think every interview I've heard Kyle talk about, there's a Jan Gomes drop in every interview. I dating back to his first year here. It was instant chemistry with those two. I wonder if they hang out outside of the ballpark. They seem like the best of friends with how he talks about them. I don't know.
I'm also now realizing that I introduced those in the wrong order because
that's right.
Sarah played them out of order, so it's her fault.
Either way, we heard them.
But hey, did you? I guess the chat's giving us play-by-play. I'm not looking at the chat, but PCA just tied the game in the bottom of the ninth, the double. So that's hey, one thing that we've talked. We talked to Craig Counsell about that today. We've actually talked to him about it multiple times, right? Especially since Sunday, and just his mentality and just kind of where he fits into things. And Craig says about PCA, he continues to talk about he mentions he's a college senior age wise, right? He's not even 22 yet. He turns 22 next month, but he's like a college senior at this point. He's got a lot of development, a lot of baseball left. But they obviously have high hopes for him as a baseball player, as a potential future major contributor to this team. And they are looking forward to seeing him, kind of push the envelope, push the front office to make the tough decisions and show them that, you can't go out and play a baseball game without me. That's kind of where it is. Like, again, not saying it's not that PCA today. We're going to say that PCA is not going to be on the opening day roster. He still has stuff to prove, stuff to show that he's improved on. But yeah, I think they all look at it as like they can't wait for him to go out there and show them that he needs to be on the roster and playing every day.
It seems like more of a defensive replacement kind of thing for him, where it's going to be where he gets a lot of his runway this year. Maybe I'm wrong, but with the Bellinger signing, if Bellinger's playing more first and you have Bush playing first, and maybe you're in a closer game, 6th, 7th inning down the stretch, you put PCA into center field, do a double switch, put Bellinger over at first. That seems to be an outlet that I think they might be looking at and forecasting. But if PCA continues to hit like he is in spring training, who knows? He might be in the opening 9.
I think that possibility is only going to happen if he doesn't hit, Kevin. That I think when he gets called up, if he doesn't make the opening day roster, I think that if he doesn't, if he comes up again and doesn't hit, then yeah. But I think we're all a little bit higher, and the versatility that Bellinger has. I just don't believe that Bellinger is actually blocking him at all, personally, man. So, but we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm not even really saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that I just think that the versatility that Bellinger has, to me, isn't really blocking PCA, but it does allow the Cubs to get PCA more AAA at bats, which he didn't get a lot of last year. So that's why I believe he'll start the year in AAA, and then, we'll see what happens.
I know Barb's been looking for an update on you guys chasing babes in Arizona, but what else has been going on while you guys have been in Arizona is a merch sale still going on today and tomorrow. We got it going on at the CHGO locker. We're calling it the clearance sale. 30% off almost everything. Look, the Hey Chicago, what do you say shirt, the fighting little cubby guys on there. Check it out. Don't forget, we got the Belly Bomb shirt on there. We got Morel's shirt on there. Lots of Cub stuff. You can get any of the shirts on there. Are available. Lots of good stuff in the CHGO locker. Now, the discounts are applied at checkout, so don't panic if you don't see it right away. The discounts are applied at checkout, but check out the CHGO locker. You still have today and tomorrow to get some pretty great deals on some new swag heading into baseball season. And don't forget, by the way, we mentioned the Die Hard program. Oh, look at Cody's got the new lid.
Yeah, it's the golf hat.
Yeah, now see that plays in Arizona. The white hat, got to stay cool.
Yeah.
Hey, hold up. Hold on.
Uh-oh. Ryan's stripping for everyone.
We're still talking about merch, right?
Yes.
Still talking about merch.
Ryan, keep your clothes on. Oh,
you can't. You can't go without that.
Barb is from.
I didn't know where we were going. I thought, Arizona, this is really getting out of hand.
Fanning something else. I'm just showing off the merch.
Yeah.
Off
you're referring to the shirt, right? When you say you were showing off the merch and you open your shirt, you're referring to the T-shirt underneath, just so people listening on the podcast.
Someone gif Ryan unbuttoning his shirt on the podcast.
Yeah. And then saying, I'm just showing off the merch.
Showing off the merch. The CHGO Skyline merch.
Oh, gosh.
A rifle and a shotgun. Just showing off the merch. Hey, you know what I was saying real quickly before we go? I was talking about Morel, and I said there could be something that so I'm not going to guarantee it, but I think it's likely. Mm-hmm. We're all talking about his play at third base and how the key is him playing defensively. I think it's possible he gets better at the plate because he's playing one position.
That's a good point.
I think his bat could get better because he's focusing on one thing instead of 6. Thought?
Could be. I don't know the correlation or the science behind that, but it could be a mind game.
Excuse me. Less distraction. Less distraction.
Yeah.
I'm getting distracted by Stucky's cough.
Oh, when do you guys get back? I'm going to cough all over you.
Oh, man.
Welcome home.
You're not inviting me your invitation to me coming home is just, it's been very brutal since I hopped on.
So. Welcome home. Here's some pink eye and bronchitis. Hope you enjoy it.
You could be like that one. What's that one video? I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. Remember? Never forget.
Never forget. Legend.
Yeah, legendary.
That is not something I expected to hear on the podcast today.
Showing off the merch. I didn't expect to hear
Showing
that.
Off the merch and me referencing a video that's like 10 years old.
Hey, you guys ready? You guys ready to see this?
Oh,
showing off the merch.
Oh,
yeah.
Showing off the merch.
There you go.
That's exactly how it was done.
So merch in your face.
I did. Did you guys? I'm assuming you guys talked about the reported news about the trade.
Yeah. We said it's kind of a Met trade, but it creates space for Cody Bellinger.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part is that they like Bailey Horn as a prospect, but and I'm sure I don't know for sure that there wasn't other avenues they tried to make a 40-man spot, but I landed on. You have to take into account like who are you bringing in, right? If this is some lesser free agent, a mid-tier, lower tier free agent, like you're probably not giving up a guy you just added to your 40-man roster this offseason, right? But it's Cody Bellinger, and you needed to open some room for him. And this is a guy Bailey Horn that they do like, but that they, as you kind of balance those two things out. It's a trade. You open the 40-man spot and you can live with it. And you get back a guy that seems like he's not a top tier prospect by any means, but he's definitely a project they can work with from what I've seen.
It's something you put back something.
What is it, like 97, 98 or something like that with the fastball? Like there's some velo in there. Like a guy that,
and he's only 23,
right? And if he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. I will say, like, as far as the left-handed pitching depth, like Bailey Horn, that's definitely it's a hit to it, right? Like, because right now you have Drew Smiley, you got
Luke Little.
Luke Little. I know you got Mark Letter Jr. who can get lefties out from the right-handed side, but yeah, it's not. They don't necessarily have a lockdown left-handed reliever, and I'm not saying that Bailey Horn was, but it is just a little bit of a hit to that depth. So I think they're definitely going to have to find some, whether it's some minor free agents or some of the guys already in their system, more guys just to keep stepping up and filling the depth on that in the bullpen for sure.
My spin zone is that I'm just glad Keegan Thompson gets to stay and we get to watch the revenge tour in 2024.
Yeah, man, don't quit on Keegan, man. There's too much left in the tank for him not to have a good comeback season.
I hope so. I'm also like optimistic that he can. He was throwing live BP yesterday, so he's got a lot to prove. He's got to go through a lot of guys who the Cubs probably are feeling a lot more confident in. And the only reason I brought him up is because this morning it was kind of rumored that maybe he was the one that was part of trade talks. And who knows, maybe it's part of a different trade. But, at this point, it looks like he's going to stay. And, we'll see. And, again, you guys already said it, but I think for anyone who's questioning, why did you do this? It's it's better than DFAing someone and not getting anything back at all. So,
that's it.
To me, that's the big thing for sure.
I see Gary's yelling at me in the chat because I Richard Lovelady and Edwin Escobar. Look, Gary, they're not on the 40-man. They're minor league. And I'm not saying that they weren't ahead of Bailey Horn, but Bailey Horn is a hit to lefty depth. I don't know why you're yelling at me. He is because he was left. Now, Edwin Escobar and Richard Lovelady could. And that's why I said there's got to be other guys that do have to step up and fill a little bit of that depth, a little bit of the hole in the depth that Bailey Horn will leave.
What about Slaughter?
If he pitches left-handed, I don't know. But that's what I was trying to say is that Bailey Horn is not this top guy that they were waiting to bring up. Like he was another depth left-handed piece. Now without him, you lost a little bit of that depth. A guy like Richard Lovelady or Edwin Escobar would have to step up if called upon to be that, because now we know for sure Bailey Horn will not be that guy that gets called up by the Cubs.
My favorite part of the Bailey Horn era was the friends we made along the way.
That's what I was wondering.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right, 3:30 live show tomorrow right here on YouTube for all those who like to join in on the live YouTube chat. Cody, safe travels.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Man, I hope you don't have one of those. I'm envisioning one of these landings for you on the airport where you just get off the plane and you're green and you're like, thank the Lord we are on the ground. Like just one of those up and down and up and down. I hope that's not what it's like, and I hope you don't have delays. But if you do, make sure you hit some blue moons at the airport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If we do, maybe I'll go jump in the Discord and let Gary yell at me because he's gonna, instead of yelling at Ryan, he'll yell at me.
He's still yelling at me. Don't worry.
I'll go in the Discord.
Riley Martin is also a name, Gary. Thank you for correctly pointing him.
Credit to Gary for always being on top of everything.
Always. That's right. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Good work. Cody, we'll see you tomorrow. Ryan, we'll see you soon. And Kevin, thanks for jumping in. Thanks to everybody who was checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Spring training coverage brought to you by our friends at Blue Moon. See you back here at 3:30 tomorrow. Until then, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.